As the 1980s unfold, a pivotal chapter in history approaches, the curtain call of the Cold War. In the heart of the Soviet Union, winds of change sweep the landscape. American businesses expand into the previously closed Soviet market, and amid these changes stands a beverage giant, Pepsi, that for a brief moment in history becomes a significant military power. It's the 1980s and everything is flashy, neon, and electrifying. The world is on the brink of change. The Cold War is winding down, tensions between the US and the USSR are easing, and a new era of openness is dawning in the Soviet Union. In 1985, Mikhail Gorbachev was elected as leader of the USSR. The communist country was dealing with economic problems, inefficient bureaucracy, and chronic shortages of basic necessities. Gorbachev introduced some much-needed reforms. The Perestroika reform was supposed to bring economic restructuring and better living standards to the USSR. Whereas before the Soviet economy was closed off from the global market, it slowly began to open up to foreign investments to a limited extent.
Are you a foreign business person looking to invest? Well, look no further. Welcome to the USSR, our great nation where human rights don't matter, civil liberties don't exist, and where even the idea of free speech is preposterous. Contact us today to begin your journey towards a bright future for your business in the Soviet Union. Glory to the motherland and Comrade Gorbachev!
These reforms offered an unexpected opportunity for American companies. One of these companies was PepsiCo, known for its iconic beverage, Pepsi Cola.
Pepsi, the choice of a new generation.
Pepsi, the choice of a new generation.
Back in 1972, a unique deal had emerged, with Pepsi exchanging cola syrup for vodka, opening the door for Pepsi to become the first foreign product authorized for sale in the Soviet Union. And by 1985, Pepsi had established 16 bottling plants in the USSR. Pepsi Cola quickly became a symbol of Western culture and modernity, a luxury item in a society yearning for change. And boy, those Russians sure were loving that sweet, sugary drink.
You chose Pepsi.
With the taste of Pepsi.
But as the 1980s drew to a close, the Soviet Union faced a dilemma. The initial agreement with Pepsi had expired, and the economy was still doing poorly.
Bankrupt! Bankrupt!
To pay for more Pepsi, the Soviets came up with a surprising solution: a trade involving 17 submarines and battleships for $3 billion worth of Pepsi. See, the Soviet Navy was disposing of obsolete vessels, selling them for scrap to bolster their economy. In the late 1980s, you could buy a submarine for $50,000 or a destroyer for $400,000. All of a sudden, Pepsi, a soda company, possessed the world's sixth largest navy. Even though Pepsi turned into a temporary maritime power, they soon sold the fleet to a Norwegian shipbreaker company.
Sold!
A couple of years later, in 1991, the Soviet Union dissolved. The new country, Russia, made the transition to a market economy and full-on capitalism. Gorbachev was out of there, and Moscow welcomed foreign investments.
In Moscow, the hammer and sickle is lowered for the last time, and an era comes to an end.
A year later, in 1992, post-Soviet Russia welcomed a new contender, one Pepsi wasn't too fond of. Coca-Cola entered the market, swiftly winning the hearts of the Russians. People quickly began associating Pepsi with the old regime of the 1970s and 80s, and Coca-Cola with the new. Soon, a cola rivalry took hold. Coca-Cola quickly started overtaking Pepsi, and by 2005, Coca-Cola had a 19.4% market share, leaving Pepsi behind with 13%. By the early 2000s, Pepsi had lost its unique position in Russia. But maybe the cola rivalry would have looked a whole lot different if Pepsi would have just used its navy.
Too little, too late.